The number one core principle of my language teaching method is that language learning is not about memorizing words, but rather expressing thoughts. And so the entire thing, what we're trying to do is practice expressing thoughts in the foreign language rather than focusing on studying the language and learning it so that you can converse and express thoughts and communicate. Putting communication, expressing thoughts first, and letting you learn the language as a result of that. That's putting the horse before the cart. So, one of the most powerful tools in that sort of game, that question answer, communication, conversation, back and forth tennis game or jujitsu or boxing game, is the following. That's a thought bubble. That's the thought that you're going to want to express in the language. And the reason that you're expressing that thought is because there's a question here coming from your trainer. Okay? So if that question is, what are your hobbies, or what do you like to do, or where's the last place you traveled, or what would you, no matter what the question is, that question should put a thought in your head, right? If I said, where's the last place you traveled? It puts a thought in your head. Now, what you want to do is you want to express that thought. So here's what we do. We start with the nucleus, okay? So the nucleus of the thought bubble is what is the VSP, everyone, the verb starting point, all right? We use it so much as an acronym for it. The VSP is the verb starting point. The verb starting point is the nucleus of the thought, okay? So in this case, it's I went. If you're learning Spanish, you would write fui, and so on and so forth, okay? So I went, last place you traveled, I went to such and such place, or I went to such and such place, or I went to such and such place. The verb starting point finds expression through vocabulary, right? So this could say, I went to Mexico, or I went to New York, or I went to Tokyo or Brazil, whatever the case may be, okay? You can grab a notebook and write your own thought bubble with the help of ChatGPT or a translator or a friend or a teacher. Say, how would you say, first give me a question to put the thought in my mind, and then how do I express the thought? It's the verb starting point and the vocabulary. Super simple, okay? Take that same verb starting point and put it in the second person form of a question. So still here in the center, verb nucleus, did you go, right? So that vocabulary already said, right, to Mexico, to New York, to Brazil. Question for me, you could say, did you go to Mexico this summer, or did you go to Brazil last summer, right? This works in every language. I realize that not in every language the verb doesn't. So in many languages the verb comes last, but it's still, the vocabulary is all sort of it orbits around the verb starting point or the verb nucleus. So if you want to learn conversation first, we want to learn the language by conversing, not the other way around. So what I'm proposing, and what I teach, what I train personally to people, is to start with a list of questions. The goal is to be able to answer 20. First goal is to be able to answer 20 questions in the language. I don't care if this is Cantonese, Chinese, and you've never spoken a word of that before. We are interested in a list of 20 questions. Is that too much? Then make it 10. Make it 5. Make it 1. Whatever you need to do in order to get the ball rolling in conversation. Okay? So here's what it is. Start with a question. Any question. ChatGPT can help you. Right? The question is coming down at you. It's coming at you. My question comes at you like a tennis ball that you have, like a baseball that you have to hit. Right? How are you going to express the thought that question puts in your mind? Start with the verb starting point. Let the verb starting point find expression in vocabulary, and then repeat that process until muscle memory kicks in, and continue to repeat that process until your Cantonese speaking personality awakens.